Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda, and this is The Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast.
This podcast is all about taking action and creating that badass business abundance and life that you want.
Where we share stories, laughs, wins, and epic fails to show you the whole picture of the entrepreneurial journey.
It's not just unicorns and rainbows, people.
Jump on and follow us through this raw and witty roller coaster,
where we get down and dirty and go behind the scenes of life and entrepreneurship.
Get on it,
get over it,
and get after it.
Hey, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to The Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast. Strap in, folks. If you have kids in the car, now's a good time to turn down the volume because we're going to talk about what it is to be a badass boss bitch and what that means.
Yes. And this was a special request from one of our listeners/followers. Of course, we're going to talk about how to be a boss bitch or a boss badass, however you want to phrase it. But essentially what this is owning who you are, owning your shit. And it's something that I think is natural for Amanda and I in a lot of ways. And we'll talk about some of the things that we do, but also it's a practice because if you start not owning your stuff, because of circumstances or situations, or a person, place, or thing, you can definitely go into a different realm, which I feel like is more like victim and scarcity and life is happening to me versus for me. And that's kind of like what I thought of when I heard her request.
Well, when I heard the request, it kind of made me chuckle aloud, really, because for so long, I fought that side of myself because it was too much. It was too loud. It was too aggressive. It was too masculine to have confidence, to be sure in your decision-making, to be resilient, to be adaptable, to be authoritative. And I was told for so long that that was, a character flaw that I had. And then there came this, I don't know if it's a surgence or a resurgence or insurgence of that feminine energy being a good thing and powerful side of feminine energy, which is, I think a lot of times that power has been given a masculine connotation. But I think that women coming into their power is one of the most wonderful things to see. It's one of the things that I loved most about when owning a pole dancing studio for as long as I have, to see women come into their power and step into that confidence and step into that other side of themselves that was always there, but they just never let it out.
Yeah. It's kind of wild that you brought up the feminine versus masculine side because I definitely hear you. And I would actually say, if you have more masculine tendencies, there's definitely a whole process of learning to lean into your feminine side. But I think it's about owning who you are because we're not all of one, right? We're not all of one versus the other. And yeah, I find that fascinating that you brought that up. And it's interesting because a lot of times people look at us and they're like, you haven't had it hard. This has just been natural for you. You didn't have poo-pooers or whatnot. And I said before, I feel like that comes natural for us. We have that aura about us. We have that determination rooted from different places, more or less, but definitely that force to be reckoned with the both of us. But we've had a lot of people telling us you're too much this, too much that our whole lives. And I think that, when you're owning your shit, it is learning to take responsibility for what's yours, but not take responsibility for others or others' opinions. And responsibility in a couple of ways. It's responsibility in that moment where you say, okay, that's your shit. This is my shit. I hear you. You don't even have to say I hear you, but in your own mind, understanding other people's opinions and guidance and all of that is just theirs. You can take it for what it's worth if you want, or take it and leave it. It's up to you. The other thing though is the responsibility of self, right? So not just that separation of, okay, taking responsibility for your stuff, but not taking responsibility for others, but stop blaming, look from within, stop using other people as a reason why you're not stepping into it. And this could be from a very negative point, and this could be from a very positive point. Like we get into these habits and routines and patterns with individuals where we want to be the perfect wife, be the perfect mom, be the perfect this, the that, the this. And we're not really stepping into the full of who we are, and we're blaming politics and blame comes in all different forms and sizes. It's not you're wrong, I'm right type of thing, or it's because of you. It could be you just like saying, oh, well, I couldn't get to that because I had to do XYZ, or it's because I have all this on my plate. And one of our favorite words, the busy word, right? I actually heard the phrase radical responsibility in one of our conferences this week. Taking radical responsibility of yourself, of your own shit, your past, present, and your future. This allows you to be able to get in the driver's seat, which we spoke around a lot, get in the driver's seat of you being a boss bitch.
Absolutely. It always blows me away and I know you and I have both encountered this in various circumstances, but when I see these incredible, incredible women who doubt who they are, who doubt what they're doing, who doubt their impact, who doubt their ability to stand up or to say something. And at this point, it almost makes me have a visceral reaction because I can't stand that that's the way people see themselves and that they feel like they have to play smaller in order to get further on in whatever they're doing, that they have to downgrade or downplay who they are because of whatever circumstance, because they want somebody else to look better, or they are afraid of looking like more than what they've, whoa, I just got crazy with my headphones there. They're afraid of looking of trying to be more than somebody else, or they just don't want to stand out in that way. And I actually resisted it for a very long time because I didn't really want to be known. Like I don't really want to be famous or popular, and I never really cared about those things. When I want to have a global reach, when there are things that I want to accomplish, I had to like decide that was something I needed to do. And I needed to step in more into that as well, because I was downplaying a lot of things, playing small because I was around people who were smaller. I know it sounds terrible to say like I was around small people, but I was playing in a very, very tiny pool around people who didn't have the same aspirations and who constantly put me down and those ideas down because who am I to do those things? And once I stepped out of that and got away from that and started really honing in on who I wanted to be, then that came out. And I think that's what's really important. If you can empower yourself and get in the right rooms and get in the right spaces where you're around other empowering women who actually want to see you grow and actually want to see you do better things and greater things and the goals that you want, that's when you can really step into yourself, because it's so easy to be complacent and to just sit back and, we talked about this in a previous episode about going with the flow. And I think that's kind of that flow is the enemy of stepping into your boss.
Absolutely. There are a few points I want to make on that. And especially because it's International Women's Day this month. And we've been doing a lot of women's events, Women's Leadership and Empowerment Conference, which I emceed, you spoke at, another Leading Women Summit, which you attended. And I was one of the speakers, and a few other activities that we've done this week, including our own retreat. And listening to these women struggling with exactly everything that you just said. And it was also a reminder being around all these women because they stand out, just because I feel like I'm pretty self-aware. I don't know if you've noticed this. I know you're self-aware as well, but watching the dynamic of how some women need to step on others, not in a good way either, to really make themselves seem like a boss bitch. So that's more like they're putting others down to be able to step into it. And it was really interesting. We actually had dialogue around that with one of our conferences as well, the conference that you spoke at. It's just interesting that that still happens. We're evolving, but being a boss bitch doesn't mean that you step on other people in order to put yourself on a pedestal, in my opinion. Two other things too that came out of what you were saying is I think that boundaries are super important when you're surrounded by all these individuals. If you are not putting around boundaries, which I think boundaries is definitely a spiritual practice, but boundaries are essential in being a boss bitch. And we've said this a cajillion times that no is a complete sentence, and learning that, I feel like this is a way that you protect your time, your energy, your space, your emotional self, your spiritual self, your physical self. You're able to really be who you're able to be because you're not allowing others to guide and manipulate and drive you, essentially. Instead, again, I'm going to keep going back to this. You were in the driver's seat. And you were talking about the big fish thing. Like, if you don't have boundaries, a lot of times what happens is it's like the crab in the bucket with the people. And it's not that these other crabs don't love you or want you to succeed. People only know what they know. And most people, especially our loved ones, they are responding to us out of fear or out of their unknown, right? They are trying to like hold us back or whatnot. And when we stay in the same arena all the time and not have boundaries, then we end up becoming just another sheep, not the wolf, right? And I think that that's really important.
Absolutely. I think people are so afraid and they project that fear when you might not even feel it. That there are plenty of times where I have been in situations, and I know you have too, Lynn, situations where people are assuming things about you or putting labels on you that really aren't there, or projecting their fears to make you feel smaller, even unintentionally. It's not always that this intentional trying to bring you down. It blows me away. And I notice it a lot, not just happening to myself, but to other people. I'll be sort of a fly on a wall in a conversation and we don't always see it. It's so nice to be surrounded by people, strong women who can speak up for each other, because sometimes it is so ingrained in you that you don't even realize that you're doing it or that it's happening to you. And I'm thinking of a couple of recent Instagram conversations that I was having, and it was just unbelievable the amount of hate coming down for like people just living their lives and doing their thing, and then the fear that's projected onto it can get in the way. But there's one thing I really want to talk about, because I know it is in a lot of people's minds. It was always in my mind with the term boss bitch boss, if you want to call it that way. And I know there was a Parks and Recreation, maybe you follow that show, they had a whole conversation, a whole show on the whole concept of boss bitch. If you haven't watched it, it was one of my favorites that I watched on repeat. Love it. There's at least two characters on there that are speaking to my soul. However, the concept of boss bitch, bitch boss, and the idea that it can be used positively or negatively, and that there's a lot of negative associations with being called a bitch anyway. And that boss scenario, people think of it, oh, you're harsh, you're cruel, you step on anybody to get your way, that you don't care whose feelings you hurt to get there, that you're superficial and that you're money hungry and just like crazy ambitious and don't really care about anything else. And that's kind of this like box that's been put into on the negative side. And I'm not saying I've never been any of those things, because there's certainly, I'm ambitious. I'm absolutely money driven. I don't have a lot of tact sometimes. So I absolutely have fallen into that. But that's not everything that you are when you fall into that title. I don't think negatively of the term boss bitch, but so many people have in the past. I mean, I went to an all-women's university, and that term was really offensive to a lot of people that I went to school with, because and that was just sort of just coming out because it was a while ago. But that term was really offensive to a lot of people. It never bothered me, but it does bother a lot of people because of the connotations and like the negative stigmas behind just the word bitch in and of itself.
I think that goes back to our episode around hustle, though. There's certain people, but I will say that I feel like you're going to have that more in the US than you do in other regions of the world, except for the nuance of the manners of cursing versus not. And you don't have to use that term, but really it's about owning who you are, owning your purpose, owning your steps and where you're going, and really being protective of your space. I definitely would love to own, because I think boss bitch is a leader as well, leader to themselves, but to others. And that is also helping others, or at least encouraging or inspiring others to do the same. So I love that you brought that up. And no, Parks and Rec was never something that I got into. Just like, can't remember it. I can see it, The Office or something. It's just not my kind of humor. Anyway.
No, The Office, I also enjoyed that as well, but there was just one episode in particular that they brought up that entire topic, and
I love it.
Flashed before my eyes when
I'm not judging. I'm sure
but
we watch different shows.
Okay, see, people, we are different. We watch different shows.
We
watch different shows.
That goes into another point, and I kind of want to save this for last, but because it's been ringing in my head, but I need to say it before I forget it, is like, we are the creators of our reality. And so when we are not acting like a queen, but yet we're talking and saying that we're a boss bitch or queen or whatnot, but you're acting like a damsel in distress and waiting for somebody to come and rescue you, That is not being a boss bitch. A boss bitch sees the situation, picks up what she needs to pick up, and like moves forward. And sometimes even taking that step before they're even ready, before they even know that something's going to, what they're going to land on. But it is not a damsel in distress or a princess who needs to be pampered and everything. And I know this is a slight, maybe a little nuance, but to me, a boss bitch, somebody owning their shit, is the one who is taking that radical responsibility and not waiting for a rescuer, either in life or in business, not playing the damsel, not acting like a princess, not making those excuses. And definitely on the woo-woo side, like the more we embody things, where energy goes, energy flows. So the more we embody something, owning that power, even if we have to fake it till we make it at times, we're not saying do it your whole life, but there might be something else going on if you have to fake it till you make it all the time. But to really just like own that power and don't just talk it, don't just act like you are, but to really own it. And that means you are not playing a damsel in distress. You're not being a princess. You are being the queen, owning your shit.
Absolutely. And I think owning that power and that confidence and being able to also instill that in others, encourage and empower your team and people around you, taking ownership for what you're doing is so important. And I think it also comes down to, I mean, obviously we always talk about adaptability, resilience, et cetera, but it's also that visionary thinking of wanting people to lead people in that direction. I think that that's what a boss bitch wants to do. It's, if you want to talk about queen, you're leading people towards that enlightenment or that confidence or that self-empowerment that we all really need. I think that's why people really look up to the concept of this boss bitch, because it is something you want to aspire to be. I mean, maybe not everybody wants to be that.
And that's okay. I think that's a great point though, Amanda, because not everybody wants to be a boss bitch. So this is for those that want to and are willing to put in the work to do it. Because it's okay if you want to stay a damsel, then recognize it, own that, right? It's okay. We're not poo-pooing that.
Yeah, just be you and be what you want to be rather than what you think you're supposed to be.
Be you, boo. You know, you brought up something, you spoke about vision there for just a hot minute. And I think that that's also a key part of being a boss bitch, is that you own your vision. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, but you dream outside of the context, like the area in which you're in. You think bigger, you want differently. Actually, this will be one of our podcasts. I wrote it down earlier, is like that inner purpose, that inner understanding, like why you're here. Because I feel like you can own that boss bitch more when you understand that. And to kind of couple this, but also what we were talking about earlier, is when we're owning our vision and owning our path, our purpose as well, we almost stop looking for external validation. We just like step into the flow with where we're supposed to be, I think, with structure and definitely discipline as well, which is a whole other topic. It doesn't mean that we don't need it as humans. It's a part of a human need that we need external validation, but we're not making all of our moves and we're not seeking it. We're honoring the external validation, but it doesn't drive us. And I think that that is also part of being a boss bitch.
Absolutely. I think there's a huge part of it that comes from internal recognition, that you absolutely can't feel that mode of being a boss bitch and having that confidence if you don't have it come intrinsically from inside. Like it has to come from inside, because I mean, yes, no one's going to be like, oh, sorry, I won a Nobel Peace Prize and an Oscar and whatever in the same week. External recognition is also really great. However, it doesn't mean anything if you don't feel it internally. It doesn't mean anything. It has absolutely no purpose and no kind of drive for you. I mean, it feels like nothing. It's like if you get an award that you didn't really earn, it doesn't feel like anything because you didn't put in the work, you didn't earn it. And so it doesn't come from an external recognition at all. It has to come from an internal drive and an internal desire to be that, because otherwise it's just fluff or no fluff zone.
Smoke and mirrors. I feel like we can keep going on and on, but we're at time. So I think one of my last notes would be like, energy doesn't lie. Like you either feel it or you don't. And your actions, the people around you, your choices, your mindset can either drive you or hold you back, hinder you. And so it's this constant auditing almost of where you're at, where you want to go. Am I paying too much attention to the outside voices? Am I in need of more external validation? Because if so, why? The boundaries, the this and that, and everything we spoke about. It's important to just do like that self-check to move forward and honor who we are, what our purpose is, and where we're going. And this is not just in any type of business, it's also in your life. Our listener had said this. I actually thought of my daughters and like moments when they were younger and they were embodying that boss bitch. Like they were like killing it in everything that they did. It's because they embodied a lot of the things that we spoke about even as a young kid. And so, yeah.
So we want to know, what does boss bitch mean to you? Do you feel like you are embodying that energy, or is it something you're aspiring to, or is it something you're not even interested in? We want to know. We're throwing a poll into this episode, so make sure you are weighing in on how you feel about boss bitch, boss mode, badass boss mode. Pick your string of words.
Yeah, what words resonate with you? Absolutely. Let us know. Share this with someone who you feel could use a little bit of encouragement on their journey of being a boss bitch. And maybe they need a little bit of a nudge to say, you're doing your thing, girl. We see you. We honor you. Keep doing it. Because I think that that's important. We have a lot of haters out there. A lot.
Haters,
and not that they mean to always, but we definitely have some haters. And so keep owning you. You do you, boo. You do you.
And as always, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so that you're the first to know about things coming down from the pursuit of badassery.
And let us know if you want to hear a specific topic. Got an earful of different topics from some of our listeners just recently. So we'll be dropping a bunch, but let us know. I guess until next time.
Get after it.
All right, everyone. It's not enough to just listen.
Now you've got to put it into action.
We are so excited to see what you do next.
If you enjoyed our show, please leave us a review on iTunes.
And to find out more about what we're doing, visit us at thepursuitofbadassery.com.